Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be going over how to build your own book library in Obsidian. So we're going to be using a relatively new feature called bases, which allows you to view your notes in like this card-like fashion. You can see the image associated with whatever note you're looking at, along with the title and whatever other properties you assign to that note. So what I have in here is a relatively fresh instance of Obsidian. The only thing I did here was assign that new images get sent to this images folder, but this isn't it's too technical. You can actually see how to do that in the video in the description below. But right now we're going to get rid of this, actually we're going to convert this welcome note into book note. Every book note needs properties. And in order to assign properties like title, like author, like the tags, and the image, what you need to do is you need to click on the key, that the dash key, this dash right here. So dash 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and you're able to get your properties list. And these properties are assigned to this note. So what are we going to do here? So what I'm going to do is we already have the title in the book note heading. So I'm just going to leave that there. So I'm going to add the author, and we're going to add tags. That's very important. And then we're going to add another property called image. All right, so now what we're going to do, I have a book in mind. We're going to put Odd Thomas. This is one of my favorite books by Dean Koontz. Now, this is the most important part. One of the most important parts is to add a tag that signifies that this is a book. So this note identifies a book. And then the image here is going to be something that you put into Obsidian. So right now what I'm going to do is I've already copied something to my clipboard, this Odd Thomas imagery over here. This is now in my images folder. So I'm just going to get rid of this because this doesn't necessarily need to be in the note itself. It just needs to be in Obsidian. Now, in order to get that into this property is over here, we can go to the images folder and then right click. I know that this is the one. We can probably get rid of this and this one just so that it can clean that up a bit. So now this is the Dean Koontz one. We're going to right click on the image and then we're going to go to copy relative path. Copy the relative path and paste it into the image property. So this is how we're going to get the image to show up in our bases view. Now the next thing we need to do is it would be a lot easier to put this in, for example, a books folder. You don't have to do this, but I like to make sure that these are relatively straightforward logically. So I'm going to put this in a books folder, and then outside of the books folder we're going to create a new base. Now when you create a new base, it's going to have this kind of tabular view, and it's going to have every single note in your Obsidian instance. Now we don't necessarily want that. You see we have like the image in here. We've got this untitled base which we have to title it. We're going to do that now. We're going to call it library. So that's going to be library. That's at the top. If you didn't have that highlighted already, this is going to be at the top of your base over here. So basically we have all these files, but we don't really want that. We only want the Odd Thomas file in there. And the second thing that's wrong with this is that it's a tabular view. What we want is a card view. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to get rid of the table view altogether, and we're just going to have the card view. So how do we do that? We go up to the table, and then we're going to add a view, and under view layout, under the layout over here, we're going to create cards. We're going to have cards there. And then what I like to do is we're going to relabel the view as library because I want to. And so we have this card view over here, but we still have all of our files coming in, so we don't necessarily want that still. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to filter, and We could do this view, we could do all views. In fact, before I do this filter over here, I'm just going to actually get rid of this table view because we don't need this. So we're going to click on the three dots and delete that view, and then now we just have the card view that we just created. So now what I want to do is go to filter, and then in this view, it doesn't really matter which one we do, but we can do this view over here. And then what we want to do, what we're essentially doing is we're creating the conditions for what we show up, what shows up in the card view over here. So we want to do it where the file tags, this is important, remember we put book in the file tag, so where the file tags contain book. And now only our book shows up in the list over here. And that should work for any time that you have a note where the properties tag has book in it, that is going to show up in your library. So, excuse me. So now we have our book. I want to show certain things. I want to show the image associated with the book, which we did over here. And I want to show maybe the author. The title's already there, so we don't need to add a property to this. And maybe I want to show also, the fact that this is a nonfiction book. So another tag that we can put in here. Actually, it is a fiction book. My bad. It's a fiction book. And so we can put fiction. And maybe I want to show that it's a fiction book in this view. So what I want to do is go to properties. And then what we're going to do is select author. And you can immediately see that author now shows up in our card view. We're going to select tags, and now our tags show up. The fact that it's a book and it's a fiction book shows up there. Now you might think that image should be displayed, but in this case it just gets you the image path, the relative image path. We don't want that though. So what we're going to do is uncheck that, and we're done here. We're done with the properties over here. So we're actually done with that. If we go to the library card view that we created, and then do this, we want to press this like little caret, and then in the image property, you select image, and when you do that, now this is going to show up. It's kind of out of the bounds of this. So one thing you can do is go back to your view here, and then you can select your card size, and we're going to keep it at 200. But the most important thing here for book covers is you want to select the image fit to contain, and when you do that, now the entire book cover shows up in your card. And so you can add another book in here. You can add, let's say we're going to do a new note. We're going to say, let's say like Harry Potter. Maybe Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. And we're going to add the properties in there. So that was 3 things there. Now you might notice that this is really taxing. So you don't want to be creating the properties all the time. So one thing you can do is create a book template, which we're going to do first before we do this. So we're going to do a new note. We're going to do a book template. And we're going to do dash, 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 and we're going to put all the properties in there. So author, and then we're going to do tags, and then image. And the author in this case, actually no, we don't have anything like that. We're just going to keep it like this. That's all we want to do. This is what we're going to keep it as. So now I'm going to get rid of the Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets here. And now we have a book template. So now what I can do is just copy this. We can make a copy of that. Do this, and then under tags, book, another fiction book. The author is J.K. Rowling. And the image, what I'm going to do for the image is we're going to look that up. In fact, we're just going to get this this image of Harry Potter in there. We're going to paste it right there. That's going to show up in our images. Okay. And then we don't need this in here, so we can get rid of that. And then under images, it's not going to show up in the list that comes up because these were recently made or recently used values. We don't want this. What we want to do is go back to images, and you're going to have to kind of figure out which one you just added. So we're going to right click on the one that we did. It's usually the one on the bottom. So you can right click on the bottom one, copy relative path, paste it in there, and now we have Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and we have Harry Potter's face right there. So that's basically what I do for my library. There's probably, multiple other ways that you can do this. Just, maybe you can have a filter for just the fiction books. Maybe you want to have other things associated with your books and then filter them based on those things. Well, now you know how to do that. You just add properties and you can mess with the filters through this. You can even add more conditions if you want to. And if you have any other properties that you want to show here, whatever you make in your book notes, you can have them showing by selecting the properties over here. So I hope that helped you. I hope you can use this for your own use case. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.